Hello and welcome back. In this lesson we're going to look at CSS variables, and again I've created a starter HTML page just to avoid you having to watch me typing. You can see that I've got a body with a heading and a paragraph, and I've also got an internal style, just setting the font for the text and also a color and a background color. Now, the point of CSS variables is rather than specifying the actual colors inside our CSS, we set up some variables and use those instead. And the CSS variables are quite often set up in what's called the root selector. This is a special selector. It's technically a pseudo class, and it's the root of the document. So every element within the document will pick up or inherit the values from here. And so in this root I'm going to create some variables, and they'll be available to every element. And the way we create our own variables is we start them with a pair of dashes like this. So for example, I can say our corporate font size colon is 24 pixels. So I've now created a variable. The name of the variable is dash dash corporate font size, and the value is this string 24px. And so I can now use this to replace the hard-coded value 24px. All I need to do is delete 24px and instead type var, meaning variable, and brackets, and then I just specify the variable name. So I'll copy this into the brackets and we'll see it's business as usual. And again, I can do the same with color. So I can say dash dash corporate text color is blue, and I can reuse that here. I'll say var dash dash corporate text color, and the same again, dash dash corporate background color, gray, I think it was, yep, and then var dash dash corporate background color. You can imagine that generally this root would be put into a CSS file that would then be linked in every HTML document, and so it would be available throughout the entire website. I'm just going to make a couple of changes and show you how dark and light theming are implemented, how we can toggle between them using this sort of system. So to start with, let's just have a text color of 333. Now this is obviously very low numbers, and so it's very dark, and I will create a background color of white. So this would be typical values for our light theme, and then I'll put our dark theme in a CSS class selector. So let me just copy these, and I'll flip them around the other way. So the text color is going to be very light. In fact, let's just make it white, and I want the background to be very dark. So I'll make this 111. Typically we don't use black and white, but we use sort of slightly off values. Now at present this dark class isn't in use anywhere, but if I assign it to the body, if I simply say that the body has got a class of dark, you can immediately see it's now adopted these colors, which have overridden the ones at the root level. So what's going on here is, because the dark selector is more specific than the root, which is, if you like, the ultimate fallback, the dark selector is overriding the values in the root selector, and so these variables now have these values, and so in the body it's picking these up instead. And so we see a dark theme, and of course to remove it, all I need to do is literally remove dark from the list of classes. Incidentally, I could have class 1 and class 2 and dark, and as soon as dark's in the list, that's all that's necessary to invoke this here. So I hope you like that, and I hope it gives you some sense of the way that CSS variables are used and how useful they can be. And with that, I will bring this lesson to a close, and I'll see you in the next lesson.